introduce the heart and soul of Redbird, Peter Brodsky.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Good morning.
This is an exciting day, and I want to focus my remarks on three concepts. The first concept is vision. The second concept is standards, and the third concept is partnership. Because what's happening today is a result of all of those things. So it's very appropriate that this ceremony is taking place in this room. This room is the brainchild of Sophia Johnson, who also is putting on this event over there. Sophia, the main struggle that we're having, that we have had, and the big challenge to overcome here is that most people just don't have a very vivid imagination. They can't see past what's in front of them to see what can be. And so we would bring potential tenants here and walk through what is a clean and well kept up, but not a first-class mall, and talk to them about how this was going to be a first-class space where people could live, work, and play, and they couldn't imagine it. And Sophia, I can be cheap. And Sophia's like, you gotta spend money. You gotta spend money to create this space where people can walk in, and they walk in, they say, oh, okay, I can now envision a first-class space in this area. One of the hard, so that's, this room has been instrumental to any progress we've made. Now, the vision for the residential component here was the same as for the rest of the development, which is quality, high quality. And when people, I remember when we first started talking about apartments, I remember we were streaming on Facebook Live, and I went back and looked at the comments later, and when people in this community hear the word apartment, it does not conjure up images of quality. They're not thinking about the buildings going on in Uptown. They're thinking about, you know, the low quality, old, dilapidated, Section 8, garden style apartments, because that's what's been placed in this community. And so we realized we had to start referring to it as high-end multifamily residential, and avoid the word apartment. But we had a vision for quality apartments where people with high standards for what they wanted in their living spaces, where those people could live, but we felt that there was a hole in the market, that there were people who wanted to live in this community, but had a certain standard that they wanted for their living spaces, and it wasn't available. And so we felt there was a hole in the market. We talked to a lot of residential developers, a lot, over several years, and only one company was able to adhere to that vision and to meet the second area I'm going to talk about, which is standards, and that is Palladium. And so I want to take a moment to give a round of applause to Palladium. Requirements that we laid out that Palladium and only Palladium was able to meet. We wanted a Class A apartment, which means a structured parking garage. That is very hard. Parking garages cost about, what is it, $15,000 a space, right? And you're not getting any additional rent. So in order to build that parking lot, which is probably $7.5 million, you gotta really believe in the purchasing power of this community. Only Palladium was able to figure out how to do it. The other thing we wanted was we wanted it to be high quality and not gated. Every other residential developer said, well, we're willing to create an oasis, but we need to keep the community out. And only Palladium said, no, we want to have patios so that people can enjoy some outdoor space and interact with the community on the sidewalk, not sort of, they didn't view the community as something that people needed to be protected from, but something that people wanted to commune with. So those were the standards we set forth, and Palladium met them. And then the last thing is partnership. So first of all, as I said, we talked to a lot of different residential developers, and one day my partner, Terrence Maiden, called up and said, I forget where we drove to Garland. You gotta drive out to Garland to meet this company. Kim Schwimmer says we need to meet this company. And I was like, all right, I'll go drive out to Garland. So I wanna thank Terrence for his partnership because he's the one that connected Palladium with Redbird. And we went out there, and my standard for the apartment was, if my wife kicked me out of the house, would I live in that apartment? And I was like, well, I hope that doesn't happen, but if it did, I'd live here. And so that's when we started talking. So Terrence, partnership with Terrence, partnership with Palladium, partnership with the city. Because when Palladium applied for city funding, they actually gave the city two different options, option A and B, and one of them didn't have a structured parking garage, because that was a big lift. And the city chose to fund the more expensive option because the city also believed in this project, also believed that we needed to establish a Class A market so that we could test out the theory that there would be demand. They bought into the vision of density, and so the city is a key partner here on this development. And so all of that has worked together to bring us to where we are today. It's gonna be a 300-unit apartment building. I'm not gonna describe it too much because that's Tom's part of the speech. But I do wanna say that the last thing that was really important to the community was that this development not be a gentrifying force. And the word gentrification gets thrown around a lot, and it means different things to different people. But to me, what it meant was that this property and this development would continue to be a community center for everybody. And so there is a substantial affordable housing component to this luxury Class A property, and that's really important. And what's exciting about, by the way, never tell Tanel Atkins a secret because he can't keep a secret. What's exciting about the thing that Tanel did not say about jobs coming to Redbird is that if those hypothetical jobs, which we're not discussing, did come to Redbird, a lot of the people who work there will qualify to live in this luxury housing where they can have a dignified, first-class home and walk to work, and walk to get a cup of coffee. And as we continue